My. Not really. As you got older, you just did what your mother told you to do, and my mom worked, so I tried to help her, you know. And she always did say I could keep house better than my two sisters. It's always clean, you know, do housework, because she worked during the day, you know, and then come home at night. And she started working when I was probably in the 5th or 6th grade. I missed that. Not too many mothers worked back then, you know, but she had to.
I do better housework than Rachel.
So, what'd you say? What chore didn't you like not doing?
What?
What chore did you didn't like doing?
What chore?
What chore that your parents made you do that you didn't like doing?
Well, I don't know. When I was a kid, we carried in an awful lot of corn cobs and coal and carried a lot of ashes out for trying to keep warm in the winter time. And I didn't really care too much for that job, I guess.
Yeah, that is true. Bring in wood and stuff like that, because they didn't have like furnaces or electricity or anything like that. You had wood burning potbelly stoves, and that's what you would stand next to when you got up in the morning getting yourself dressed. But you didn't want to stand too close, because you might have burnt your bit, because they were warm.
What were your favorite toys and what were they like?
I'll tell you the truth. We didn't have many toys, because the folks couldn't afford them. And when St. Nick would come, it would be fruit or peanuts or something like that. He didn't bring toys. And Santa Claus didn't bring toys either. You got the essentials. Socks. Well, back then, the girls wore long stockings, and like I said, you used to walk to school, so we got long-legged underwear. So you put on the long-legged underwear, and I mean they were underwear, not like the half and halves they got now. These were the arms and the
onesies,
slippers in the back, you know. And then you wore long stockings and you rolled them up so they wouldn't see your long-legged underwear to keep warm, because you were walking back and forth to school. But come springtime, you know, when it started getting warmer, then the kids would tease, "Mary, roll down your stockings, you know, aren't you warm? Roll down your stockings, aren't you warm?" Well, Mary couldn't do it because Mary had her long-legged underwear on, you see. But yeah, like I said, we got the bare essentials, and I think I was 12 years old. And I mean, I still believe in Santa Claus yet. I think I was 12 years old before I got my first doll. It was just a doll. That was it.
Was it like plastic or?
It was kind of like a rubbery arms and legs, and then it had like a porcelain, not really porcelain, but a hard head, like if you would hit it, it cracked. Yeah. I kept that doll for I don't know how long.
Do you still have it? Or?
I did, but I don't have it anymore. No. But yeah.
Bummer.
What were your favorite toys and what were they like?
Favorite what?
What were your favorite toys, or did you get a lot of toys when you was a little boy?
I had one toy that I had for a few years. Favorite one was a Caterpillar tractor, you might call it, and it had rubber tracks on it. It had you wound it up, and it had a spring-wound motor, so to speak, that it would run with it. That's probably the favorite one I ever had.
Oh, cool.
But we only got one toy at Christmas time, and that was about it.
What is your fondest memory as a child?
My fondest memory as a child? Well, my fondest memory is my mom. She was always there. Working for us kids. And on Saturdays I would go up and clean my grandma and grandpa's house, you know, because they were old, and then my aunt would work. She was working in a store in Dedham. And I would go up and the government would pay for somebody to come in and clean their house, so I would go up and clean their house, dust and scrub and wax and all that good stuff. I was probably 13, 14 years old, maybe not even that. And after I got my work done, Grandma says, okay, we're gonna sit down and have lunch or a snack, and she always had a bottle of pop. Well, a bottle of pop to me then was a treat. We never had pop at home, or, like you kids have now. So that bottle of orange pop was a treat. I'll never forget that as long as I live. But I have a lot of fondest memories of my mom, and my dad too, but my mom was always there.
What is your fondest memory as a child?
No, what?
What's your fondest memory as a child?
Oh boy,
That's a hard question.
that covers a lot of ground.
Yeah.
Well, I suppose some of it probably was the activities we had to keep ourselves entertained. Like in the wintertime, we did an awful lot of sleigh riding down the big old hill in Dedham, from the water tower way down to the dump grounds on the north end down there.
Oh, yeah.
And, that was always quite an activity that we always liked. Of course, summertime we'd take off on our bicycles, and who knows where we'd go. We'd go out to different farm places, visit some of the kids that lived there. But I suppose just everything in general. It's a lot different way to keep yourself entertained than what it is nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't have no park with a lot of playground equipment and stuff in.
We would go to our cousin's house and we'd play, the people visited back then a lot more. And yeah, I remember the sleigh riding down the hill and different things, and then growing up too, our Sunday dinner was always fried chicken, mashed potatoes and knaddle and gravy, and then a dessert, and sauerkraut. You kids today don't even know what knaddle is. It's about like a dumpling, but that was always our Sunday dinner.
It's a German meal.
It was a German meal, yeah. That was good.
What major illnesses or health problems do you remember having as a child?
Chicken pox. Oh, did they itch. And I remember having a mirror, like a mirror about like that. And I was laying in bed and I was looking at my chicken pox, and the mirror went down on my legs. I didn't have my legs covered. Well, then the mirror broke open my blisters.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, the chicken pox.
What illnesses or health problems did you have when you were
Yeah, I
little?
tell you what, I had about everything there was, I think.
Yeah.
But,
Back then you
mumps are
got
no
mumps.
fun. You get all swelled up down here and you blow your jaw and your throat and everything, and you generally wound up in bed for a few days when you had them.
And the
I had
measles.
chicken pox. I had measles even. Of course,
Yeah.
Now to get measles, they push the panic button, but we had them all.
When you had the measles, you had to stay in a dark room. You couldn't be out in the light, and had to lay in bed, be in a dark room, and I don't know.
Why a dark
Chicken
room?
pox, mumps, yeah.
How old were you when you met?
Well, I tell ya, he was my neighbor boy.
How old was that? Were you when what?
When you guys met.
I was 20. And, we knew each other, because, we knew each other all our life. Well, I run around with his sisters and would always go up to his house all the time, and Joanne, my brother's wife now, well, he was always paying more attention to Joanne all the time, and kidding around with her.
Might I interrupt?
Really?
You're making an awful long answer when she is when how old you were. You can see 20, that's it.
I'm just telling her a little bit of something here.
I didn't know that.
Anyway, one one day he comes up and he goes, how would you like to go to a dance? And I said, okay. Well, then after I went home, I thought it over. I don't want to go to no dance with no guy. I want to go stag. So I get up to the dance and he comes up and he says, I thought we had a date. And I said, oh, I just thought you were kidding. And I knew he really meant it, but I didn't want to go on a date. But after that, we started going together, but he's a block away. He was my neighbor boy.
So, when was your first date?
Easter.
Right.
Easter, wasn't it our first date on Easter? We went to the Starline with Norbert Kit and Jeanette.
Well, no.
Yeah. His best buddy and one of my girlfriends, we went to the Starline. Now it's the bowling alley out here over in Carroll here. And we went to the dance. It was around Easter, I know that. So,
How old were you when you got married?
like I said, I lacked 3 days of being 21.
How old were you when you got
I,
married?
I would have been 23 and about 9 months because I was 24 in August
Yeah.
that year.
Mm-hmm.
23 and 9 months, I would guess it'd be.
Where and when did you get married?
We got married on May 5th, 1959 at St. Joseph's Catholic Church.
What was your first job?
What was my first job? You mean before I even got out of high school? Or when I worked in high school? Well, when I was younger, details of the corn, and that was just a summer job. And then one year I started working for Preve's Hatchery over in Manning, and they coddled eggs or canned eggs, they put your eggs into light, see if they're good or bad. That's what they did years ago. That was my first job. Hated it. Oh, I hated it. Then after that, then I worked at Acoma Foods when I was a senior, before my senior year in high school, and I stood next to the inspector. And Acoma Foods processed turkeys. Well, when the federal inspector said, cut this off, that's what I cut off. So that was my job, yeah, working in a turkey processing plant.
What was your first job?
Well, I worked every summer for some farmer. I'd go out and I'd live with them all summer long. So I would say that the first job I had was one of these farmers that I lived with all summer long. And I'd lived with, over the period of 4 years, I lived with 3 different ones. But that'd been my first job. Summertime job.
Did you like it?
What's that?
Did you like it?
Oh yeah, I like that. Because they always treat me like one of their own kids,
How did you decide on your careers?
Well, I don't know, I just, my family didn't have the funding to go to college, so I just went out and got myself a job, and like I said, after I graduated out of Kemper, then I went back to Acoma Foods and got my same job back. And that's where I worked until I got married, and then I was expecting our first child, and I quit, then I raised my family.
How did you decide on your career?
How'd you decide on your career? You just kind of fell into
I
it.
started my career working in that automotive parts store when I was a senior in high school. They had they called it commercial extension. What it amounted to was you'd get a part-time job, and the school always took care of checking up on you and everything, how you're getting along and all that. And I started working in this parts store when I was a senior in high school, and I worked there every afternoon. I'd go to school in the morning, work there in the afternoon, and that's how I got started. I'm sort of worried how many pages you got left of them questions.
What would you consider to be the most important inventions that have been made during your lifetime?
Important invention. Well, I was glad to move into a house with electricity and running water. Then I was glad to get into a house that had a bathroom in it. But important invention, TV. I remember when the first couple in Dedham got their first TV, and it was around Halloween. And you go out trick or treating, and they would give you little treats, you know. But our treat when we went to that house, our treat was we got to come in and sit on the couch and watch their TV for about 5 minutes. So that was my first experience of ever seeing a TV.
Who was it?
It was Leonard and Margie Tigas.
Really?
Yeah. They lived down there where Delbert and Annabelle live. Yeah. What invention do you think? What? Say it again.
What would you consider to be the most important invention made during your lifetime?
Adventure?
What do you think is the most important invention during your lifetime? Inventing, or whatever they invented.
Well, television would have to be right up there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because they didn't have it back when I was born, I know, so
No.
it'd probably be one of the most important ones.
Do you remember like when your family first got their TV?
Yeah.
Can you
My us kids, we would go out to work, and then we saved our money, and and at that time, like I said, my folks didn't have that much money. We got a TV, and you put it on a consignment or pay monthly payments, and we helped pay for that TV. And that was a real treat to have a TV in the house so you can sit and watch TV.
What was your
Yeah.
favorite show?
What was my favorite show? I tell you. When I was a young girl, like a teenager, my favorite show was wrestling on Saturday nights. I would sit there and watch and I mean, it was nothing like this wrestling is now, and I don't even watch it now. No.
What about Grandpa?
What was your favorite TV show when you was little, after you
When I
got
was
your
little,
TV?
when television first came out, without a doubt, the favorite of every young kid at that time was the Lone Ranger.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They had the Lone Ranger episodes on television, and then
Okay.
that was the big one.
Now, speaking of, he's talking about the Lone Ranger. When we lived out there on the farm place down, I was telling you about Dedham there, didn't have no electricity, no lights, no nothing. Well, we had radios, and it was a battery-operated radio. And it was on a shelf on the wall. And we would like to listen to the Lone Ranger. Well, then as the batteries would go down, the voices would become faint, and my brother and I would stand on a chair with our ears clear up to the radio so we could hear the Lone Ranger.
Oh, God.
That's one thing I'll never forget. Yeah. You know, you think back things when you something.
I'd like to throw a comment in about that most important invention
What?
in my lifetime. Television would be one of them, but the one that probably changed the course of everything more than anything was the atomic bomb.
Ah.
That was
Yeah.
that was an invention.
Yeah, right.
Do you like remember when you first heard about it? Do you?
The atomic bomb, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, I would say when they dropped it on Japan, I was 10 years old, and I remember that.
Now
And it's real close to my birthday that time. My birthday's August 13th, and it's real close to that.
in Japan or Pearl Harbor? I thought Pearl Harbor was around my birthday.
Pearl Harbor, I don't hold too much.
Pearl Harbor is
Remember that,
December 8th.
I was 6 years old
Is it
when
December
I,
8th or
Isn't
May?
it December?
I thought it was
December,
May.
I think.
I can't remember.
I'm not a history buff.
I don't remember too much. I mean, I know, but as far as remember when the war was going on, you know, until my aunt and uncles would come back home. Otherwise, I just didn't pay that much attention to it or whatever. I don't know.
How is the world different than when you were a child?
How is the world different?
Yeah.
These kids today are too liberated. Nothing stops them. When I was your age or younger, I would have been afraid to do some of the things you kids do.
As in what?
We just, we were taught to respect other people's property and respect other people, and I mean,
Not talk back.
yeah, yeah.